Every Friday, after the last email was sent and the office lights went out, my week truly began. It started with a bus ride on the number 7 line, a slow, meandering journey home that I cherished. My ritual was simple. I'd find an empty double seat and place my bag on the one by the window. It was a silly, silent promise I'd made to my younger self, a girl who dreamed that one day, someone special would sit there beside her. For years, that seat remained empty, a space saved for someone. I'd watch the city lights blur through the glass, content in my quiet little world. One rainy October evening, the bus was more crowded than usual. A man with kind eyes and a rain-dampened coat hesitated by my row. I instinctively moved my bag to my lap, but he just smiled and took the aisle seat across from mine. I noticed him again the next Friday, and the Friday after that. He always had a book, but I'd catch him glancing over at the empty window seat beside me. The rain had become a regular feature of our Fridays, a soft, percussive soundtrack to our unspoken routine. Finally, one evening, as the bus rumbled over the old city bridge, he broke the silence. "Excuse me," he said, his voice gentle. "I hope this isn't a forward, but I've noticed for a few weeks now, you always save that seat. Is it for anyone in particular?" I was taken aback, a blush creeping up my neck. I laughed softly. "It's silly, really. Just a promise I made to myself a long time ago." He smiled, a genuine, warm smile that made the dreary evening feel bright. "That's not silly at all," he said. "It's hopeful." And just like that, a new ritual began. His name was Leo. The next Friday, he sat in the aisle seat across from me again, but this time, he offered me one of his earbuds. "I made a playlist," he said, "for rainy bus rides." We listened in comfortable silence, the music a bridge between our separate worlds. His taste was eclectic and wonderful, a mix of old soul, indie folk, and classical pieces that perfectly matched the rhythm of the falling rain and the gentle sway of the bus. Our weekly rides became the anchor of my week. We started sharing more than just music. He'd bring an extra coffee in a thermos, pouring me a cup just as we neared my stop, the steam fogging up the windows. I learned that he was an architect who loved old buildings and the stories they held. I told him about my job as a graphic designer and my secret ambition to illustrate children's books. We traded small secrets like pocket change, favorite childhood memories, worst haircut stories, dreams we'd never told anyone else. The empty window seat beside me was still technically empty, but it didn't feel that way anymore. It felt full of potential, a space charged with the energy of our budding connection. It was our space, even if he never sat in it. Our conversations were the highlight of my week, a warm, safe bubble in the middle of a crowded bus. He told me about his grandmother's garden and how he tried to replicate her famous rose bushes on his tiny apartment balcony. I confessed my irrational fear of butterflies, and he didn't laugh. Instead, he told me a story about how they were symbols of transformation. One Tuesday, I received a phone call that threatened to change everything. A dream job offer, the kind you don't say no to. The only problem? It was in a city 500 miles away. My heart felt like it had split in two. This was everything I had worked for, a huge step in my career. But the thought of my last Friday bus ride, my last shared playlist, my last warm coffee transfer with Leo, was a physical ache in my chest. I spent the next 2 days and a days composing acceptance and rejection emails in my head. How could I leave this just when it was beginning? How could I tell him? By Friday, I had made my decision. I had to take the job, but I also had to tell Leo how much these rides, and he, had come to mean to me. I boarded the number 7 with a heavy heart, rehearsing the words. This would be our last ride. He was already there, in his usual seat. He smiled when he saw me, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. He seemed nervous. I sat down, my own anxiety knotting in my stomach. Before I could even open my mouth to speak, he leaned across the aisle. "I have something for you," he said, his voice a little shaky. He handed me a folded piece of paper, thick and worn like an old map. I carefully unfolded it. It was a beautiful, hand-drawn map of our city. But it wasn't just a map. He had marked several spots with little, intricate drawings. There was a sketch of a coffee shop with a note, "First coffee date, not on a bus." Another pointed to a small, independent cinema. "First movie date, where you can't be distracted by the scenery." There was a park, a bookstore, a little Italian restaurant. And at the very top, in elegant script, it read, "A map of our first dates." My eyes welled up. I looked from the map to his face, my own news completely forgotten. "I was going to ask," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "if maybe we could start with the first one tomorrow." But I also wanted to say, "That seat you've been saving?" He took a deep breath. "I've been saving something too." The courage to ask if I could be the one to finally sit in it. Tears were streaming down my face now, but they were happy tears. I couldn't speak. I just pointed to the window seat beside me. A slow, brilliant smile spread across his face. He stood up, crossed the narrow aisle, and for the first time, Leo sat down next to me. He didn't take my hand or say anything else. He just sat there, in the seat I had saved for so long. And in that moment, I knew I wasn't moving to another city. My dream wasn't 500 miles away. It was right here, on the number 7 bus, sitting right beside me. Home wasn't a place, it was a person. And my journey had just begun. Thank you so much for watching. If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little hope. See you next time.